Cool, man. I think we are on. Let me just double check. Okay, we're streaming live on Facebook. Hello, friends. I'm here with executive chef Sander Bergstrom. So if you want to learn how to drop about 34 pounds in 4 months and gain your energy back and look great, as Sander is looking today, working in the service industry, you want to stick around. Sander, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for taking a little bit of your time to come here and share your experience.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Cheers, man. Before we dive into all your successes and your progress and etc., let's just give everyone what was watching this live and on the replay a little bit of a background on who is Sander. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Well, yes, I'm an executive chef, certified executive chef, working a country club in Southwest Florida on the Gulf Coast of the United States. I've been at this particular project for about 3 years, but I've been in this industry for about 30. So been doing this a long time, and it all stemmed from my love of food. I grew up on a small farm where we raised meats and vegetables that we ate. My father owned a trout hatchery that was a business for the family that I worked as a teen, and I delivered to restaurants before I ever even thought about being a cook. So it's been in my blood for a long time.
Man, it was almost like destiny. I didn't know your background story as well. So
yes,
thanks for that.
And actually, it was my dad who connected me with my first jobs in restaurants. One was like when I was 16, maybe. It was just a little cafe. But when I was 19, he connected me with a friend of his who managed one of those 1980s brass and fern style restaurants. And I started as a host, and then I ended up saying, you know what, the kitchen looks like more fun. So that was 1987. So here we are.
Nice, man. It's been a while. So
yes,
definitely a veteran in this industry. Cool stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
So
and I've done just about everything in this business: hotels, cash house restaurants. I haven't done quick serve or anything like that, but country clubs, catering, fine dining, whatever you can possibly imagine, I've pretty much done it. So that's where we are.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Sander, before we started the program, before we even met each other, before Hotel Fit, like what was going on in your life? What kind of issues were you struggling with?
Well, first and foremost, I was a bloated mess, to put it bluntly. I was severely overweight, not super healthy. I was still trying to be active when I could, as far as, getting to the basketball court or something like that, but nothing. I was somewhat athletic when I was younger. I played baseball for many years. I played soccer, basketball, but hadn't done much recently, tennis. But I wasn't great physically, and then my health numbers weren't good. My A1C, my blood pressure, glucose, etc., were not appealing to somebody who's in his mid-50s, about to be 55 in 3 weeks, and looking at the rest of his life with a fairly new partner and wanting to spend a long, healthy life with them. So, we've been together 6 or 7 years now, but it's still fairly new, and we want to have a long, healthy life. And so I want to make some changes.
Absolutely, man. And I know that you we worked around some injuries of yours due to the fact that you were an athlete before and you play a lot of different sports. So you had some issues. So you understood about exercise, and you had done exercise before, you had tried before. So this was kind of a moment where you needed an extra push. What was the moment where you realized that you needed some help?
Well, the discipline aspect and the accountability aspect is something I really embraced, because it's when you're just doing it by yourself, it's easy to say, man, I had a really busy day, I can't do that, or whatever's going on and this and that. And the way you structure it is good as far as accountability with you and with the community. But also I needed more structure. You know, yes, I have been athletic in the past and I have done things, but when I've worked out in gyms or programs or whatever, have I actually been doing it the right way? And have I been using my time the most effectively? And have I been disciplined in other areas outside of just that hour you're in the gym or 2 hours you're in the gym? So that's one area where you really came in to help.
So why Hotel Fit, and why Hotel Fit in specific, and what kind of inspired you to start?
Well, you know, as you know, we connected on Facebook, and when I looked into what you were doing and how you have it structured for busy hospitality professionals, and I actually think it would work for any busy professional, you know, whether they're in hospitality or not, because professionals in general are generally very busy and have a hard time finding the time in their life. But you coming from the hospitality industry, I like the way you had it structured. And as I worked through the program, I really liked the way you structured it in the form of the hotel and the levels and the floors, if you will, and all that. And, you know, that appealed to me. But we as culinary professionals specifically, or hospitality professionals, are asked to work crazy hours. You know, it may not be what it was 20 years ago, but it's still pretty ridiculous. And in many facets, it still is that way, just maybe without Gordon Ramsay yelling at everybody. But the hours are long, it's tiring and whatnot. And to be able to fit that into one's busy schedule is a difficult thing. So that's what I appreciated about what you offered.
Thanks for that, Matt. Thanks for the kind words. Let's talk about your experience when you first got started. Like, what was your expectation? What was like your first couple of weeks, your first couple of months when you got started?
Well, I don't know that I can really get into what my expectation was, because I don't know that I necessarily had a firm idea or thoughts of what was going to happen. But I will say that, you know, the reason I'm in this business is I'm very food motivated. And I've always been one of the reasons, I'm not going to say the reason I got into this business, but I always said that, you know, working with quality foods and whatnot, I'll always be able to eat well, even if I can't afford it. If, you know, take with that what you will. But,
that's a good point.
But it was really hard, you know, aspects of adjusting to the nutritional stuff and the dietary stuff. And, you know, the discipline is probably one of the hardest things for myself, because I treat myself with food. When I have a day off, I like to go out just by myself and have a nice lunch and just relax and do all. And, you know, there's so many things in my life as I look at it that are just circling around food. And it was hard to adjust to that, to make the sacrifices that were necessary to get to the point that I am today. And that's not to say they're never there anymore, because it's not like you can't ever do it again. But I was used to just doing whatever the hell I wanted whenever I wanted. And that's not necessarily the best way to keep yourself healthy. So, as we both know at this point.
Okay, so you went through and you've done those little sacrifices, and it started getting easy, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. They, you know, the various levels, without getting into details, I don't want to do that. I'll leave that to you. But the various levels, you know, each had its own challenge, and, you know, and they were scary and intimidating at first, but you know what, you get into it and you get used to it and you progress, and it's not as, you know, it's accomplishable, if that's an actual word. There are goals, and especially the way you tailor it specifically for the individual, you know, not cookie cutter, you know, because I've talked to people about it and they're like, oh, I could never do that. Well, you know what? You're not going to have to do that, because every person is different and they all have different goals and different skill sets and different athletic ability and whatever. It's not a cookie cutter. So that tailored philosophy, I think, works well as well.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about the good stuff then. Like, what were the results? What were, like, if you remember all of them, what were your different victories along the way?
Well, I don't remember how far in, but I think it was only like 6 weeks in to the initial whatever you call it, the initial program, um that I went to my doctor and I got blood work done. And he walked into the room when I was waiting for him, and he said, "Hey, superstar, I don't know what you're doing, but keep it up." At that point, I was down only 10 pounds, but my A1C was rock solid. My blood pressure was down beautifully. My glucose, there was another one in there as well. I mean, everything, my cholesterol was way down because of the dietary changes and because of the exercise and the things that I was doing. And that was only, I want to say, 6 weeks into the program, maybe a little more than that, but that was a big boost. And it made my family really happy. They were super excited for me. My partner, she was ecstatic. And since then, I haven't been back to the doctor, but I've lost another 25 pounds and, changed the shape of my body from not so great to a little better. I still have some work to do, but and it's not without ups and downs. I mean, there's hard times when you run into obstacles and whatnot, but you just got to get back on the horse, or whatever analogy you want to use or metaphor you want to use. But just learning skills and keeping with it.
Mhm. When you send me, like, you send me a message saying, "Hey man, went to the doctor today and he told me that those were my numbers and he said I was a
Yep.
superstar and etc." I saved the screenshot because it wasn't only your family that was ecstatic about it, but like I
Yeah.
was too. That literally made my day,
Well, you have
because I
medical
knew that
professionals.
was like one of the things that you told me, as you said in this interview earlier, that you were struggling with. So that
Yes.
that
I
was
mean,
amazing. And I bet if you go back there, I don't know, like, I'm curious about the next time you
yeah,
go in there and
I
do the
am
next
as
blood
well.
test.
I have to say I am as well. But I mean, beyond the fact that I wasn't happy with my body or my stamina or whatever, and I would kind of brush it off. But the health concerns were the biggest thing. And we talked about that from the very beginning, that those were my goals, that I need to get the major health concerns under control, because otherwise it's a ticking time bomb. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not getting
I
any
knew.
younger.
Yeah, I knew that was like your number one priority. I knew that there was a little bit of aesthetic goals as well, conditioning goals. You love playing basketball, and you want to go, I believe, to Colorado to do ski with your family,
Yes,
and
yes.
hiking and all that stuff. And you want to feel good and be ready. And I think you are, man. I think you are, or at least you're getting closer. And although there's still some work to do, I know that you've already had lots of compliments from people, especially some friends that you haven't seen for a long time. I know that you had like a recent barbecue where you've been told that you looked way better, and so that's very cool. How did that feel?
Yes. Oh, it felt great. I mean, I have people at work. One of my servers at work. He's in pretty good shape. Of course, he's like 23 years old. Played football in college, and he's telling me, "Dude, whatever you're doing, keep it up. You're looking good." And I noticed, like, my old chef coats, they're getting baggy on me. And I'm buying new ones that are a little more form fitting. And whatnot. And that kind of stuff. I mean, that my old ratty belt is on the smallest loop, things like that. Even my damn iWatch, I have moved in a peg. And I don't know if I'm just wearing it tighter or what. I didn't know my wrists got fat. But or I have to check my cankles too, I guess. But no, it's little things like that. And my stamina on the basketball court's better. I mean, I'm still not anywhere near where I want to be, as far as that goes. And I still, could lose another 20, 30 pounds. I know you talk about another 40, and we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see as we go. Like it's different
yeah.
for everyone. We got to see how you feel about it. And
Yes.
yeah, as
And
far as
I joke when I say that. So
yeah. Right. And as far as your conditioning, I'm happy that you are, being consistent. Even like, for example, for everyone who's watching, Sander has been dealing with a little bit of a tennis elbow and some pain in his shoulders due to old injuries for the past couple of weeks, but he still has been playing basketball, doing his cardio. So that's good. Like, even though you're not like doing the workouts as you were, at least temporarily, like you're getting back to it. I know you've done a long workout today, but you're still like being consistent in putting the exercise. And I think that's really, really important. So yeah, that's fantastic. Besides the weight changes and the physical changes, were there any like progress that you've experienced, like apart from that, as a result of the weight loss and the energy and etc.?
Well, I mean, there's the mental aspect of it. I mean, feeling better about yourself and kind of not being disappointed with the person you look at in the mirror in the morning or whatever goes along with that. The psychological aspect has been definitely a plus. And and it gives you a different confidence when you're going about your business or your day or whatever. Not that it affects the way I cook or the way that I lead my team or anything along those lines, but it gives you a little boost mentally. So that's definitely, puts a little pep in your step or whatever you want to say. I've been a little disappointed with myself in the last couple of weeks because of the injury and because I feel like I've kind of plateaued a little bit, and I need, this was my first real workout. And I mean, I did legs last weekend, a week ago, and but I haven't done any arms or anything in a couple of weeks. And so I've been kind of down on myself and feeling I need to be more disciplined with this and that. And it's frustrating, but it also is there that I know that I can do it. And this is a long process. It's not, Rome wasn't built in a day. And what is it? Sun Tzu says about the journey of 1,000 miles begins, or maybe it was Confucius, I can't remember. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and it's a continuous process. It's not, to mix metaphors, building Rome in a day or building, whatever, and I just want to look at it as a long-term project and keep at it. And eventually, I'll keep chipping away and get there, but not to be beating myself up or getting frustrated when I say I need Chinese food today, as we've discussed numerous times, or, I have a big weekend where I'm going out of town with my lady and we're going to be eating breakfast, which I don't anymore. And we love breakfast together. And that's been a hard thing. But last weekend we had breakfast together. It was the first time in months. And she was like, oh, this is so wonderful, and I remember you saying that a long time ago. That's
Sorry,
like,
Kristen. So sorry, Kristen. I took Sander away from breakfast.
Well, like either Saturday or Sunday, we would have our bacon and eggs and some nice whole grain toast and coffee, and we love it, and it's good quality bacon, thick sliced, and all that. But but I remember the first weekend I was doing this with the first level of intermittent fast. She made bacon and French toast for her and her daughter, and I had to leave the house.
Just to rub it on your face. Damn it.
No, it wasn't even malicious, but I had to leave the house. I was like, but then after that, it wasn't a problem anymore because I moved past it. So
yeah, you adjust. But I think like, and I understand you when you say like you get frustrated because you didn't progress for a couple of weeks. But that's normal. What's a really big win is that you have this feeling of, it's now kind of being part of your identity, such as you feel bad if you're not doing it, right? You feel bad if
Yes.
you're not progressing. So that's a win, because before
Yes.
that wasn't happening. So it happens
Yeah.
now. And I think that's a good thing.
Yes. Pardon me while I wet my whistle here.
That's all right, man. Hydrate
Water,
yourself.
water.
So apart
Yeah,
from,
okay.
surviving the bacon and etc., what would you say was your biggest challenge throughout the program? How did you overcome that?
Well, I think some of the different levels had their own challenges. And just being disciplined enough to carry through and look at the big picture instead of looking at instant gratification, or what do I really want? What do I want to put in my mouth right now? What do I want to do this and that? Instead of saying, well, no, I'm doing this because I want to accomplish this. And I've never been very good with that, about denying myself what I want when I want it. And I'm not saying, I've had the means to just get whatever I want whenever I want. That's not what I mean. But I've never been good at, oh, I want to go get a burger and fries. And then I just would, but it's like, no, that's not what you want to do right now, and or whatever, that's just a silly example. Or I want to have bacon and eggs for breakfast. Well, I'm not going to be having breakfast, whatever it may be. That was probably the hardest, is really working on the discipline. And it's still there. I'm not going to say I've like solved the puzzle, but it's a lot better than it was before.
Man, we always need discipline. It doesn't matter like how far you've come in this journey. We always need that, but it just gets easier. But I think you're well, I don't think, I'm sure. Like I've been working with you for a while. You're a tough guy, I know, like, and you're committed to this. So it's nice to see, it's nice, and it's been nice to see you progress throughout the months, definitely. Chef specific questions, like how do you manage sticking to the protocols while you're in the kitchen? You're an executive chef. I know a lot of executive chefs, or chefs in general, they struggle with the same things that you're probably gonna mention now. How do you manage to stick to the protocols, fasting while working in the kitchen? You have to taste stuff and do all of that.
All right. Well, there's no like formula. You just do it. I mean, and I have a hard time specifically because I do a lot of things like barbecue, a lot of stuff that's prepared before and then, or earlier in the day or whatever. So, I'll be cooking pork shoulders overnight, and then I come in the morning and I'm pulling apart this amazing smoked pork shoulder, and I'm not eating right then. But it's all right. I'm just not to put that in my mouth. Or I do the same with chickens. I'll smoke chickens and I'll do pulled chicken, and or there's other things too. When we're doing big production banquets and we have ready to eat food handy, we have this and that, where the French fries I don't even bother with anymore. That's not even an issue. But when I start looking at proteins have always been my thing, and the fattier the better. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. We both know the processed foods and the sugars and the salts and all that crap are worse. But it's still, if you're in your window, you're in your window, and you don't put it in your mouth. And so that's hard for me because I'm a working chef. I have a small team. I am an executive chef. I'm a certified executive chef, but I have a small team at my club. And so I am in the middle of it all the time. And so, I mean, the worst for me is when bacon comes out of the oven. I mean, that's the biggest weakness I have on this planet. When we have fresh Applewood smoked bacon coming out of the oven, I'm like heading that way. It's like, oh, you got to do a quality control. So it's just a matter of deciding and making that decision, I would have to, my New England clam chowder, legendary New England clam chowder, involves 4 sheet pans of this bacon and that I would have to chop up myself unless I have somebody else available to do it. And I'm like looking at fresh cooked bacon in my face, chopping it. Normally I would eat a piece or two while I'm doing that, but it's making that decision. What's more important to me, putting that in my mouth right now or the bigger picture? So,
Yeah.
and it's not always been successful, but for the most part, I've been doing pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. And we can see you've been doing pretty well with that. But I think
You just see me now, the way I was before. Yeah, not so great.
yeah, I think people struggle with that mindset trigger, People feel that like it's impossible, man. Like I'm hungry and I'm stressed and I have like this beautiful pieces of bacon in here. So that's tough.
Well, I have to comment on that because I find a pattern with my body that every day around 11:30, I get freaking hungry. And I get into work 8:30-ish, 9 o'clock, every day around 11:30, I get hungry. And I push through that, and 12:30, that's gone. And if I get through that, then I'm good till 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes, there's different variables there. But for some reason, there's a little whatever causes it at that time of day that's saying you need to eat. And I'm like, well, I can't, so I won't. And I try and stay busy and, avoid that draw and, carry on. And I do find that once I get past that, all of a sudden I know it's 2:30 and I haven't eaten. And I'm like, I'm not even hungry right now, so it works out well.
Yeah, it comes in waves. So
Yes.
you understand when it's your period.
Yes, absolutely.
Where you gotta stay a little bit stronger. That's cool, man. That's cool. So what would be your advice to people in this industry watching this right now who were likely in a similar situation as you were before?
I say, if you're committed to taking care of your body and you want to lose weight and get more fit and reap the benefits, I would absolutely recommend this program. It's worked wonders for me, and I've developed a lot more sense of discipline and I don't want to say self-worth, but pride and everything else just from the things I've accomplished with your program. So, I would say, it's very beneficial. The workouts are structured so that they will fit into a busy schedule. They're not long, although today was a bit much, I will say.
Yeah, I get
I'm in the red program. I'm
your
in the
comment.
red program, not the beginning program. So
it says long ass workout. Like that's
Yes.
what Sanders said in the feedback.
Exactly. Because I kept looking, I'm like, what? There's more? There's more, because I didn't go through it before I went in there today. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
You
But
had to
I
wait
did it.
for the machine. You had to wait for the right. Like
Oh,
you had
yeah,
to
that
do
was
like
it.
some
No,
dumbbells
there was
were
more
occupied.
stuff. I'm sorry. There was more stuff in there today. You're sandbagging me.
No, it's just the first time you're doing this one. You'll see.
Yes, I understand.
It's easy peasy. You'll see, man. Sander, yeah. What can I say, man? It's been wonderful to be your coach. We still got work to do, but it's been great seeing you progress and seeing you getting healthier and looking better and all of that, and experiencing all these changes in the first person. So that's awesome, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
All right, my pleasure, and thank you for helping me.
All right, guys, if anyone watching this, if you have any questions for me or Sander, you can drop them in the comments below and we'll respond to you. So thank you so much for watching this, everyone, live or on the replay. Sander, thanks again. We will talk soon on our coaching call. In the meantime, keep me posted.
I will do that. Talk to you later, bro.
All right, man. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too.